Howdy folks, Greyhawk444 coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer, and it is that time again. It is Beer 30. Let's roll. Okay folks, so for those, I haven't done one of these episodes in a long time, my Beer 30 episodes, where I try a random craft beer that I have not tried before, and I kind of give you guys a review of it. And then we talk about usually some random gaming topic that's happening currently. So that's what we'll do today. The topics will be a little different today, but we'll start off by trying what I'm drinking right now. So there's what she looks like right there. And the name of it is the Not Quite Pale Ale by Magic Hat Brewery. There's a bottle. It's a big one. And Magic Hat is out of Vermont. I've had a Magic Hat brew before when I was visiting my cousin in Pennsylvania, and we had gone to the liquor store and I got a few to try there. It was not this particular brew from Magic Hat, but I remember it was good. So this is their Not Quite Pale Ale. So let's give it a shot here. I expected it to be more hoppy. Maybe that's why it's not quite a pale ale. Because usually when I think of pale ales, I think of Indian IPAs, and they're quite hoppy. And this doesn't have very many hops at all. And I know my buddy Chris is going to give me shit about this, because he says every single beer I try I like, and there have been exceptions. Lagintis Brown Sugar I did not like, and there is a Beer 30 of that to prove it that I did not like it. There's been a couple that I just didn't care for, but I love beer, so it's hard for me to find one that I just don't like. And this is no exception. I like this. I expected it to be very hoppy, and it's not. I can't really say I've had a beer like that before. That's quite interesting. It is, it almost has like a lemon finish to it, and it is filtered, so it's not like a Hefeweizen. It's not like a wheat beer or anything. It's a pale ale without a lot of kick. It's 5.1% alcohol, and actually, that's pretty thirst quenching. I have it just chilled a little bit. I don't have it ice cold, but I could even stand for it to be just a little colder. And I usually like my darker beers, room temperature. But this I could, because it's kind of light. I think it could stand to be a little colder. But all in all, it's good. Another good beer. So, and I guess this is called their number 9. It's not quite pale ale, but it's got the number 9, so I'm guessing they call it the number 9. Anyway, any of you from the East Coast, if you're watching this and you want to talk about Magic Hat, feel free to put it in the comments below. I have had one of their beers before. I do not remember which one it was. So this would be their second, and I've liked both of them. So I'd like to know, any of you that are experts on that particular brewery, if they're known to be an outstanding brewery. Are they like, because Dogfish, when I think of the East Coast, I think of Dogfish Head. And I've never had a bad beer from those guys. And so I've kind of put them way up here. So maybe these guys are similar. I have no idea. But anyway, so let's talk about some other stuff. I'm not going to really talk about a particular gaming topic today. What I'm going to talk about is something that is trending right now in the YouTube community, and it does pertain to me as well. We're going to talk about the YouTube demonetization issue that's going on. And if you have been following this at all with any of your other favorite YouTubers like Philip DeFranco or Boogie2988, or they've all talked about it. And it's been going on for quite some time. And I want to talk about it because it is affecting me. I mean, it's affecting me, you know, with monetization and all that. I don't make a lot of money. I'm a very small YouTuber, so I don't make a lot of money anyway. But I was seeing growth, you know, as my channel, you know, as I made more videos and I got more views and got more subscribers. I was starting to see more growth, and I was starting to make a little bit more money, you know. And when I say a little bit, I mean a little bit. But then I started getting hit with the demonetization thing. And what's really bugging me about the thing is the same thing that's bugging the other guys. It's hitting them really hard because they make a living doing their YouTube stuff. Excuse me. I don't make my living doing YouTube. I make a little bit of beer money once every year. I get a check from YouTube, enough to go buy some beer. But regardless, they make their living doing it, and they're getting hit really hard. And the example that's going around is there is a YouTuber that made a video after the Las Vegas incident. And I'm not going to talk too much about that because that's what gets you demonetized. It's just talking about something that has happened in the news. Excuse me. So anyway, he made a video about it, and the purpose of his video was to raise money for a GoFundMe campaign for the victims. And that campaign made like $250,000. So he was raising that GoFundMe was making like $250,000 to give to the victims. And he even said in the video that any money that he made from YouTube, any monetization that he got, would be donated to that cause. So therefore, even if there were advertisers on the video, any money he made from that would not be profit to him. He would donate it to the cause. So completely non-profit, it's an all above board type of thing. Well, they demonetized his video because it was about this tragedy. If it's got anything to do with a tragedy, they demonetize it. So they demonetized him. So in effect, they're not getting any ad revenue, which he would in turn then donate. So of course that money never made it. Any ad revenue that would have made it, of course, didn't. But the problem that we're having is Jimmy Kimmel, who is he's been very vocal about social issues and things that are going on his show. On his YouTube channel, they had one about the same tragedy, the Las Vegas tragedy, and it's still, as of the last time I checked, they still had ads running on that same exact one, ad revenue being collected. They did not demonetize his video. And so there's like a double standard. There's absolutely no continuity. There's no, what's the word I'm trying to find here? That what's good for the goose is not good for the gander, I guess you could say. But anyway, so I kind of have a problem with that. And the reason that it bothers me personally is that in the past, I have done a video about a tragedy, and it got demonetized. I did one about the Boston Marathon attack. And the reason I did that video was in my previous career, let's say, it feels like 100 years ago, but, you know, probably 20 years ago, 25 years ago, I was a security expert. And I provided security for a lot of the big movie studios. I provided security for Universal Studios, NBC, ABC, CBS, DreamWorks, 20th Century Fox, everything basically except for Warner Brothers and Paramount. Those two were all in-house, and I had nothing to do with those. But the other ones, I had accounts with all those, including I had all the Disney stores nationwide. I provided the security, you know, when they would call our central office, and I would have a scheduler that worked for me that would do the scheduling for all the Disney stores. So I had 15 years of security experience at that point in dealing with high-profile clients. And before that, I was in the military, and I had gone through counterterrorism training because I was stationed in Germany for 3 years. And my specialty that I worked in involved nuclear weapons. So we were always on the defensive against any type of terrorist attack and so forth. And there were terrorist attacks while I was in Germany. Luckily not exactly where I was, but nevertheless we had to, we would all go on alert the minute there was an attack, et cetera, et cetera. So we went through a lot of extensive training about counterterrorism and all that. So that culmination of my private security experience, my military experience, etc., after the Boston Marathon attack, I did a video where I talked in general terms about, hey, here's what we know, because it was, the pressure cooker bombs in backpacks and what their techniques, how they got them there, and what they did with them and all that type of stuff. And I just talked in general terms about being more aware of your surroundings. And since that time, there's been a lot of terrorist attacks since the Boston Marathon thing. And so now I think people really have started to pay attention because it happens so often now. But then we hadn't had an attack since 9/11, and it was pretty horrific. We hadn't had a bombing like that where somebody had set down bombs in a crowded place, since the Olympic bombing, which was before that. And so I was just, basically the purpose of my video was just to kind of talk to people and say, hey, you need to be more aware. If you see something that looks out of place, like a guy, setting down a backpack and walking away from it for no apparent reason, that should set off some alarm bells, those kinds of things. And I went into a little bit more detail, but it got demonetized strictly because it dealt with a tragedy. It didn't matter that I was trying to help people. I was trying to educate people about being aware and some security techniques and stuff that they could do in preparing for being around crowds and that type of thing and all that. It didn't matter. It got demonetized anyway. And so it seems like this YouTuber that did was this latest one, this Las Vegas thing, he got demonetized, but the big guys don't. And more power to. I mean, I want the Jimmy Kimmels and all those guys to be able to put their videos on, and whatever. Hopefully, some of that money is getting donated to causes and things like that. But it should be equal. It should be uniform. There's the word I was trying to think of. There should be some uniformity to it. Anyway, that was kind of my thing I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to know how you guys feel about this whole demonetization thing also, because I have had other videos, just because I've dropped an F-bomb or whatever, boom, demonetized. So I'm trying to be very careful now with profanity, and they have every right, by the way, to do this. They have the right to demonetize whatever they want to and so forth. But it's going to change the content that you see. If you want to see people that are raw, raw emotion and raw reactions and things like that to whatever the topic may be, that's going to change, because you're not going to see that anymore, because they won't be able to monetize it. And really, I shouldn't change anything, because I don't make that much off of it anyway. But my ideas, of course, are always that, maybe one day I'll do a video and it'll go viral, and then I'll grow, and then I'll start making more money, and I don't want to have a bunch of stuff demonetized and everything, so my mind goes that way, of course, but really, I shouldn't give a shit. I should just do what I want to do and not worry about it. But anyway, I thought that was an interesting topic to talk about, because it is going on right now, and everybody else is talking about it. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about some other beer stuff too, because one of the things that at our last D&D game that came up was somebody asked about storing beer, and you can't really see it over there, but under that table there and behind it and so forth, I have my beer storage. I have probably 3 cases of beer, and they're all different types, you know, that I have handpicked or whatever. Some I got on my travels, where we've gotten, you know, a case of this or a 12-pack of that, and I'm working through it and so forth. But like this is like from 2 years ago that we got on a road trip to the Pacific Northwest. And I don't even know if it'll show up on there, but there is dust on that bottle because it's been sitting in my down here in the basement. There you go. You can see the dust on there. And I got to tell you, it's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It tastes delicious. Now, so what my response was to Jonathan, who asked the question, was, well, as long as you keep it in a cool, dark area, which my basement, of course, is, and you don't have it in any clear bottles. Like, this is a nice dark bottle, but if you have stuff in clear bottles or green bottles, then you can't really store it that long, because the light will screw it up. Almost said the other word. So there's a perfect example. This is at least 2 years. Been sitting down here for 2 years, and who knows how long it had been before it was brewed before that. So, and it's still fine. So I have other beer back there that I need to get to for these beer 30s that is just as old and so forth. But if there's any of you beer aficionados out there that have got tips for others on other than to just store it in a cool, dry place, and then is there kind of like this I don't know, is there like a set by, you know, shelf date that says, you know, hey, if you've got beer that's over 5 years old, even if it has been kept in a cool, dry place, is it no longer good, or is it just by taste? You open it up, and you know, is that what you go by? Because I've never had anything that long, but so that's an interesting, you know, another question that came up. Anyway, so this wasn't a gaming beer theory. This was just to shoot the shit. Let's talk about the YouTube thing and beer and that kind of stuff. There was the other thing. Yeah, we got to talk about my Raiders. A few of you guys have been following me for a long time. You guys know I'm a diehard Raider fan. And the Raiders, something happened after the second week. The first 2 weeks, they looked like the Raiders from last season. They were on point. They were motivated. They were playing with purpose. And something happened after that second week. Aside from the Derek Carr, this latest injury with his back injury, even aside from that, they're not the same team that they were in the first 2 weeks. Don't know what it is. Don't know if you've made the same observation. But something's different. And I've been a fan long enough since the 70s. I can identify it when this season's toast. The Raiders are not going to come back from this for this season. Something has done them in. They're toast. So I hate to say that, but anyway, because I know some of you guys are always telling me, you know, hey, go Raiders, Bob, you know, that type of thing, and I don't know. There's always next year. So anyway, guys, I guess that'll do it. That's an 18-minute video. We've drank some beer, talked about some stuff. We'll catch you guys on the flip side.